Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good evening, Mocha crew. You all have come in tonight. I'm so delighted to be with you all again. And I'm extremely delighted that you once again decided to join us here on tonight. Let me take the time to greet everyone who's already come in. And let me also commend you all for throwing up that hashtag, Mocha crew. Y'all know how we do. Joyce, Angela, Tisha, Lenny, Brittany, Toya, Denise, Antoinette, Dr. Pat, Labrie, Vonda, good evening. Good evening, Tracy. Good evening to every last one of you. And thank you for joining us again tonight. Tonight is going to be a very, very, very brief Mocha Moments session. As I've been sharing with you all, that Friday night is date night for a lot of people. And I certainly don't want to keep any of you from engaging in your date night with your spouse or significant other. I know I won't be able to anyway. I don't have that much pull or power, but some of you want to be involved, and I'm anxious to get to my time of date night with Lady Ann tonight. And so I am definitely not going to hold you long tonight. As a matter of fact, tonight is going to be somewhat of a fun night. Most of the time we have some very serious discussions, but I don't foresee this discussion being very serious at all. We're going to have a little fun tonight. But before I get into the fun part of our session tonight, I just want to offer and send out condolences to former First Lady Michelle Obama. It's been reported that she lost her mother on today. Marion Robinson passed away earlier today, and we want to send out condolences for former First Lady. Now, I think I can do this. Some of you might say, how is she ever going to receive our condolences? And I say the same thing. She may never hear this with regards to getting this from me, but I want to do this especially tonight because actually in my office at the church, I have a picture of Michelle Obama and myself that was taken during the campaign time of the 2008 election, right before President Obama was elected the first time. And there was a picture we took. Someone took a picture of us while we were having a brief conversation there during the reception that was held for many of the local pastors. And I happened to be one who was fortunate enough to be picked to be at that meet and greet. And someone snapped a picture and sent the picture to me, and I framed it, and it's in my office to this day. And let me say this, and I'm not saying anything from a political standpoint or a political position. I'm just sharing with you from my perspective of Michelle Obama that I gained from having a personal encounter with her. That encounter that I had with her, she was a very, very personable individual, very, very personable. And I really appreciated the exchange we were able to have on that particular or during that particular encounter. And she's a woman of grace and intelligence, and she's touchable, she's reachable, and all of those wonderful qualities. And from the things that I've read and received over certain television reports, that the person that she is, her mother had a lot to do with that. And it's being reported even now how close she and her mother were. And another reason why I think this is so important, that all of us, especially we who are African American people, regardless as to what our political persuasion may be, whatever political party we relate to most, we ought to yet be somewhat proud and appreciative of the Obamas, being that they were the first African American couple to serve in the White House. That's a major a major accomplishment. Some more of you all have popped in since I started on this, and I don't think I've acknowledged my boo, my girl, Lady Ann. She's in with us tonight. Always delighted. I gotta mention that each and every time. Player Hater, good to have you with us tonight. Toya, Ter Kazam, Pam, Shell, Ron, Jackie. If I'm repeating some of your names, it's because you all have rolled up. You got past me, or I just forgot who I called the first time. But you all are constantly rolling. The names are constantly rolling up. But I don't want to miss anybody. I don't want to slight anybody. But again, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that tonight before we got into what we're going to do tonight. Listen, real fun time tonight. We're just going to talk about, I really want to hear your input tonight. And so you all jump in as quickly and as early as possible, because again, I don't want to spend a great deal of time on here tonight. I want to get right on into my date night. All right. Don't be hating on me. It's okay. It's okay. I just happen to love the one I'm with. So I'm going to be with the one I love. All right. How many of you remember when? What are some of the nostalgic memories that you have? Some things that, if you're able to access certain things or revisit certain things, how many of you have had those moments where fond memories of more simpler days just seem to flood into your mind and flood into your spirit, and it really, really, really gives you a great feeling when that happens? I'm this type of person that certain things that I encounter, certain things that I come across just trigger those nostalgic feelings within me. I'm always reminiscing and looking back, especially to the more simpler days. Now, I know some of our younger Mocha crew members may not be able to totally relate to some of the things that I'm expecting to be brought up here tonight, but there was a time when life was so much simpler, and we seemed to have so much fun because we were so much more carefree as young people, as teenagers. Simple things brought us great pleasure. One of the things that I often think about, and my wife and I, we talk about it from time to time. I remember back when I was a teenager, and even up through my late teens and early 20s, when getting in a car on a Friday night, riding through the city with the windows down, people watching, was just absolutely fun. Player Hater, y'all already brought up some good things. Let me start with Vonda. Vonda said, walking and shopping at Indian Springs Mall with my mom. Good time. Oh, listen, Vonda, it's funny that you mentioned that, because the other day, someone had posted a picture of Indian Springs Mall the year that it opened, and that flooded back so many memories. When I saw that picture, and I immediately drew that attention to Lady Ann, and we began to kind of talk about those things. Those were some wonderful times. And a lot of times I would get out to the mall. When I would frequent the mall, I would often run into friends, families, and church members, and we would have a great time of fellowship. It was simple. The shopping was good. It was a great atmosphere to be in. And wow, what a way to start that, Vonda, bringing back those memories of Indian Springs Mall. Player Hater says, I remember going to Worlds of Fun, $6 after 6 p.m. Wow. Now that's really something. Now I don't know how much it costs to get in to Worlds of Fun now, but $6. Now I know there's some people that are on here with regards to the amusement park. They don't their first fond memories of amusement parks was not of Worlds of Fun, but rather of Fairyland. Fairyland that was out there on 75th and Prospect, and the Wildcat roller coaster and all that. You know, although I remember Fairyland, I was old enough to remember Fairyland, but when I came along at the time that Fairyland was really at its height, my older brothers and sisters didn't feel the need to be bothered with me and take me out to Fairyland with them whenever they had an opportunity to go. So my fondest memories of Fairyland was just driving past Fairyland or riding past Fairyland and looking at some of the rides in motion and everything and wishing that I had an opportunity to go. But soon afterwards, early in, probably before I got to my teenage years, or right at the beginning of my teenage years, was when Worlds of Fun was open. And listen, we forgot all about Fairyland after Worlds of Fun opened. Of course, now at that particular time, Fairyland was starting to deteriorate, and so it was time to shut that whole thing down. Denise says, I remember going to the drive-in, sitting outside the car, feeling safe. Yeah, I remember that too. Now, Denise, full disclosure, tell the truth. We're all friends and family here. Did you ever go with a car full of people, and some of the people, when you came through the gate, they were actually in the trunk? Oh man, you talking about sneaking people into a movie? Man, that's yeah, we used to do that kind of stuff. I knew people that did that. Now I've never been in the trunk going into Fairyland, but well, I guess I have. When I was a little kid, I have laid down on the floor of the back seat, and being covered by a blanket. Terry Kazam talks about family gatherings when everybody participated. Wow, that's a good one right there. Everybody participated without it breaking into a fight. Imagine that. Some of the best times that I've ever had in my life at family gatherings were, in particular, family reunions. I used to love family reunions. And some of you have heard me talk about our family. We had a very, very large family. And most people think that the Cobbin side of our family is large. The Cobbin side of the family is dwarfed in comparison to the Calhoun side of the family. My dad's side of the family is not nearly as large as my mother's side of the family, which is the Calhoun side of the family. And just to put this all in perspective for you, our grandmother passed away in 2009 at the age of 106. And I think we started somewhere around her 80th birthday, making sure that our family reunion was centered around her birthday, and we would come together every year. Well, long story short, the year that grandmother passed away in 2009, we had a cousin that would always keep the records with regards to the family tree. And every time someone was birthed into the family, she would add additional leaves onto the tree as she was notified. Well, when our grandmother passed away, at the time of her passing, I want you all to hear this. From the roots and all throughout the branches of the tree, there were 1,269 leaves on our family tree. That was back in 2009. And here we are now, 2024, and there have been several more birthed into the Calhoun family line. Several more leaves added to that tree. But just imagine having over 1,269 leaves on your family tree. And we always had very peaceful family reunions. It's a time of gathering and just enjoying one another. Um, let me tell you what was the biggest challenge about our family reunion. We had so many cousins that it was almost impossible to remember everybody's name. So when you would greet one another, it was, hey, cuz. And I'm calling you that cuz I don't know what your name is. Sometimes what we would do, the closest thing we would get to identifying them was we would say something like, oh, you're Uncle so-and-so's daughter or granddaughter or whatever. But anyway, nevertheless, we had a great time. So thank you, Terry, for sharing that. I can relate to that. Toya, going to Bannister Mall on the weekends with what seemed like my whole family. The malls were safe. Yeah, the malls were actually safe, and during those particular times back in the day, um, most of the time, we who were young people in my teenage years, rather, whatever, we didn't go to the mall to cut up, to steal, to do all that kind of stuff. We went there actually. A lot of us at times actually had money and we actually shopped. But if we weren't shopping, many of the malls would often have movie theaters in them as well. And we would go to the mall and then ultimately wind up at the movies. So that's a fond memory as well. Jackie says, I remember when we went to day camp at our elementary school for free. Ain't nothing free for kids anymore. You're absolutely right. I think that right there really needs to be reinstituted and re-implemented. How many of you all remember the Joy Summer Program where it was actually job opportunities for youth? Yeah. And most people, when they got out of school, if they were fortunate enough to get their applications in really, really early, a lot of teenagers, when school was out, they went to work in some area or some part of the city, had a job all summer. And that's the way some of the kids actually purchased their school clothes for the next year. I think that kind of program needs to be reinstituted because a lot of times our children sit around idle with almost nothing to do. This is a real good one here. I love this. Riding in the back of our dad's red truck. Denise. Well, our dad had a couple of different trucks over during the time of my childhood. The first one I can remember was I think it might have been like a 55 green Chevy truck. Oh man, just loved riding on the back of that. Especially when we were on our way to picnics. We would be back there with the coolers, and sometimes we had to get threatened because we would want to be back there with the coolers and the food, getting into the food and the coolers before we got to the picnic. And our parents used to have to get on us about that. But that's a good one right there. I absolutely love that. Tisha, she says, going to church and over my grandma's house afterwards. There was a lot of that going on. Man, listen, a lot of times we would get together after church to have dinner because we were scheduled to go right back to afternoon service after morning service was over. And sometimes we would gather at an individual's house. There were times where we used to have potluck in the basement of the church. Each family would bring whatever they're bringing, and you ate from your family's table first. But if you were invited to wander to somebody else's table, that was cool, so long as you didn't go begging, as our parents would say. You had to really justify, well, they offered me that piece of cake. I didn't ask for it. She just set it down in front of me. You had to make sure that you weren't going and seeking out food from other people's tables, or that would get us in serious trouble. Jackie said, I love going to Indian Springs. They had a Taco Villa Now there's one for the books. Taco Villa. Now, okay, now let me confess, I didn't even begin to try to eat tacos until I got to be an adult. And to tell you how far into adulthood I was before I started trying to eat tacos, I think First Lady is the one that basically got me to eat tacos for the first time. And y'all don't even want to know how I eat my tacos. Y'all, listen, don't judge me. I have a picky palate. But my tacos basically consist of meat and cheese. Meat and cheese with the taco shell. That's the extent of my taco. Don't give me no lettuce. Don't give me no tomatoes. Don't put no sour cream on my taco. Just give me the meat and cheese. That's all I want. Picky palate, y'all. I'm sorry. That's the way I grew up. And I was the pickiest eater in our house. Teacher said my grandparents lovingly fussing at each other. They were married over 50 years. Listen, you're right, lovingly fussing at each other. I think sometimes our grandparents and even some of our parents, they would fuss at each other as a way of communicating their love for one another. You know, sometimes it seemed like if they weren't fussing, they weren't loving. Interesting. Ron said going to Fairyland on Sunday evenings. Well, my dad was too strict to let us go anywhere on Sundays. We couldn't go anywhere on Sundays, even after we had gone to church, you know, because most of the time, after we had been in church during morning worship and afternoon service, if we did want to go somewhere in the evenings, it seemed like my dad said, we're going to create a night service for you. So you're going to be in church all day on Sunday. He absolutely, very old school. My dad was one who was just totally opposed to any kind of recreational activities on Sunday. Anybody else grow up in that type of situation? You know, we really couldn't even play outside on Sundays. This is the day of rest. This is the Lord's day. We had bicycles. If we had bicycles, we could not ride our bicycles on Sunday. Absolutely not. It was the Lord's day, and you are going to do only those things that pertain to worshiping the Lord. Ter Kazam says, going to all the black rodeos in Oklahoma, riding horses. Now, Ter, you might be one of the few people who's familiar with the whole black rodeo thing. Now, I knew about the black rodeos and all that. I never had an opportunity to attend one, but I actually had a good friend who was a black rodeo cowboy, and he competed all the time. And I talked about getting an opportunity to go to a rodeo to see him compete, but I've never gotten around to it. That would be interesting to hear about that kind of experience in detail. Joyce says, riding around the loop in Swope Park. Yeah. I mean, I know to kids nowadays, that would sound like it would be totally boring, but it was a wonderful experience. As a matter of fact, going to Swope Park, period, was a wonderful experience. And let me refer back to our family reunion. When we first started out having our family reunions, we would have our family reunions at Swope Park. Watch this, up on Watermelon Hill. Anybody remember or know where Watermelon Hill is in Swope Park? Anybody? I'm going to see who remembers. And if you remember, put it up in the comments where Watermelon Hill is in Swope Park. Antoinette says, going skating on Friday night. Yeah, that was an activity. Boy, y'all coming up with some stuff right now. Now, again, I went skating, but I wasn't a very good skater. I'm just going to admit it. I'm just going to, I could stay upright and I could go around the rink fairly smoothly. But doing all that fancy stuff, spinning around, kicking up your leg, going all down to the ground and sticking one leg out and all that. Nope, couldn't do it. I wasn't that coordinated. Wasn't going to try it because I didn't want to hurt myself. I used to watch other people. The most I would do when I would skate was bob my head real good. Well, at least I looked cool. I had a pretty good stride, but it wasn't no fancy stuff with me. It was straight stride and glide, and I bopped my head to the music. Oh my gosh, Tisha. For me, it was going to Bannister Mall and or Ward Parkway Mall every weekend with Mama. Okay, that's some good stuff. Lady Ann, she likes the Fairyland thing. Of course, now, Lady Ann, you live pretty close to Fairyland, so I can totally understand you wanting to go and you frequenting probably Fairyland. So you can tell me how it was one of these days when we got time to really talk about it. Shell says, remember roller skates with the metal wheels? Oh, that's sidewalk stuff right there. Not only the metal wheels, what about the ones that clamp to the shoe? Wow. I used to hate them things. I hated those clamp skates because they never would stay on my feet good. And once again, I would always wind up falling, so I'd rather get on a bicycle and create ramps and pop wheelies and jump ramps and entertain the neighborhood by speeding down the street down the sidewalk on my bicycle while a ramp was set up waiting for me there. And once I hit that ramp, go flying through the air. And you better come down right or else you're going to be all over the pavement. Yeah, those are the kind of things I remember. I couldn't do the skate thing very well, but bicycles, yeah. DeGaran said catching crawdads at the lagoon in Swole Park. Okay, you fishing people, I envy y'all so much. Y'all know how old I am. I'm 61 years old, and to this day, I have never, ever caught a fish. Anytime I've gone fishing, to this day, I have never caught a fish. That is just absolutely pitiful. I've never caught a fish. A few years ago, my wife and I, we went down to the lake to hang out with her brother and our sister-in-law. And she decided, she said, hey, I'm gonna go down by the dock and I'm gonna catch me a fish real quick. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll be down there right behind you in just a little bit. I said, because I know she'll be down there in a while. I must have gotten down there about 12 minutes after she did. And lo and behold, by the time I get down there, she'd already caught a fish about so long and everything. And I'm sitting there going, oh, wow. I said, okay, well, they must be biting around here. And so my brother-in-law, he made sure that I had the right bait on my hook and all of that. We dropped our lines in the same water, in the same spot, in the same place. He sat there for a few minutes. Boom, he catches a fish just like that. I took my little line out the water just to check to make sure that the bait was still on there, because I had been sitting there for so long and everybody else was catching fish, but I wasn't catching a thing. Y'all, this is a true story. I'm telling you all the truth. I can take you even further back than that. Had a gentleman in my life that mentored me when I was a teenager, and I used to work with him doing odd jobs. We used to do carpentry work and remodeling and stuff. And he was a fisherman. He fished all the time. And I told him that I had never, ever caught a fish. So he wanted to remedy that. He took me to a stocked lake. They had just stocked the lake with fish, fresh fish in there, right? He said, you got to catch one in here because there's fish all over the place, right? So he used a special bait. We baited both lines, and we were fishing probably about 15 feet apart from each other, right? And he threw his line in, few minutes with his line in the water. Boom, he caught a fish, reeled it in, put it in the bucket, baited his line, threw his line back in. The line was in there a few minutes. Boom, he caught another fish. I'm still over here waiting for something just to nibble on my line. And so he caught about 4 or 5 fish in a row, right? And I'm still there sitting and haven't gotten a nibble. And I tell y'all, we was only about 10 to 15 feet apart from each other. He said, I tell you what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to rebait this line. And once I rebait this line, I want you to come over here and take my rod. And I'm going to go over here and take your rod. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm about to catch me a fish because they biting where he is. Y'all, I promise you, the moment that we switched poles, I went to the very pole that he was handling. He went to the pole that I was handling. They both had the same bait. The moment that I went to the rod he had and he went to the rod I had, boom, he caught a fish over there on the rod that I had. Pulled it up out of the water, put it in the bucket, baited the line, threw the hook back in the water. Boom, he caught another fish. I'm still waiting. You know, I honestly believe that the fish were under the water. They had a meeting. They said, this dude right here talking about me, he's not a fisherman. He can't catch anything. He'll never catch us. So let's just go ahead and vacate the area. Let's go back over here with this other guy. I think he really knows what he's doing. You would have thought they would have stuck with me, you know, but no, I didn't catch a thing, not one thing that day. And I still haven't caught a fish. So here's the conclusion that I arrived at. Here we go. That kind of fishing is not my calling. God called me to be fishers of men. Woo! Oh my gosh, y'all, I can't make this kind of stuff up. This is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay, so much with my fish story. Okay, let me get back to some of y'all comments. Tracy says, I remember Fairyland. I'm far behind y'all, but I'm gonna catch up. Vonda says, Taco Villa was so good. Again, y'all, back then, I would tell you, y'all can have those tacos. Tisha says, what about bringing a Coke can or canned good, I forget which one, to get in free or cheaper at Worlds of Fun? I believe it was a Coke can. If memory serves me right, yeah. I think you can bring a Coke can to get in a little cheaper. Player Hater said the drive-in was fun. Yes, we had a lot of fun at the drive-in. And y'all, why does it always seem like movie popcorn and drive-in popcorn was the best popcorn that the world ever experienced? You know, I mean, that stuff, that popcorn was amazing. And you know, honestly, every now and then I can get a good pizza at the drive-in, you know. Tisha said we used to drive past what was left of Fairyland on 75th going to the mall. A lot of people did. Vonda, I put my 2 brothers in the trunk of my car to get us in the drive. You're not the only one, Vonda. Thank you for that transparency. That's just telling the truth about it. Denise, Bishop, I'm going to plead the fifth. Listen, it's all right. This is the no judgment zone. We're not going to judge you if that's what you did. Listen, you are in good company. Tisha, going to Skateland in Grandview. That was on 71, right? Skateland. How many of you all went skating at Coach Light? Y'all remember Coach Light? For a while, I used to feel like Coach Light was a step up from Skateland. Okay, anyway, that's the way it seemed. We were in the back of a station wagon. Okay, Tracy. Y'all was getting in that drive-in, right? Lady Ann, shopping downtown, three sisters. She says, really telling my age. Baby, you can tell your age all you want to because you look so good. Nobody will ever believe that you are the age that you are. You look fabulous. Tell it all you want to. Okay, y'all. Excuse me. I had a moment. I remember three sisters. My sister Angie, I used to go there with her when she would invite me downtown when she was working split shifts, and she would have me to come down between her shifts, and we would literally shop. And it was such a wonderful experience for me because she would always buy me something. That was my big sister. Love her dearly. Love her to this day just for that very reason. She spoiled me. I'm just going to be honest. Yes, Skateland on 31st and Truman Road. And then 27th and Truce. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I remember those locations. Toya, Hypermart that had McDonald's, type Taco Bell, and other restaurants in it. Man, we used to think when Hypermart was first built, we used to think that was the bomb. Wow, this great big old center where you can get just about any and everything you want. I think at one time you could even now buy a car in Hypermart. Yeah, I think there have been some people that have actually bought cars out of that place. Now, it may sound crazy, but yeah, I think at one time you were able to buy a car. My grandmother always talked about when Hypermart opened, said the workers were rolling around on skates. Okay, I think I missed that experience, but y'all would know better than myself. Toya, I still remember the smells. I hope they were good. Our Hypermart was huge. Gina going to oh my goodness, yes, going to Velvet Freeze to get ice cream. That was another place that I absolutely love. Velvet Freeze had the best ice cream on the planet at the time. And actually, my aunt and uncle lived one block away from Velvet Freeze over in Kansas City, Kansas, on 12th and Quindaro. There was a Velvet Freeze right on the corner. And my aunt and uncle lived about a half a block from that Velvet Freeze. So I would love going to my aunt and uncle's house because eventually I would wind up at Velvet Freeze enjoying me some ice cream. Brittany, wait, Tisha, y'all had workers rolling around on skates? I truly believe I was born in the wrong generation. That touches my old soul. Yeah, Brittany, you'd be surprised some of the things you likely missed. That was called being innovative at the time. Creative and innovative. It was a way of serving people quick, fast, and in a hurry and getting around doing what you need to do in the most convenient way possible. That was something really, really innovative there at Hypermart. Player hater. I was a joy worker at Swope Park Pool. That was real cool. Yeah, I love going to Swope Park Pool as well. Had some of my fondest memories there at Swope Park Pool. Had a great deal of fun, and I can never forget the time that I finally got brave enough to jump off the high diving board. I didn't say dive off; I said jump off. When I finally got brave enough to do that, for us young boys, that was a rite of passage. You know that you're growing up when you're able to go and jump off the high diving board at Swope Park. Man, you all are really bringing up some memories. Job Corps, yeah, that's another institution that kept young people employed, and also did some other things with regards to the development of young people into becoming productive young adults. Dr. Pat said, I remember our family gatherings for years. I did not know how valuable the gatherings were until we lost so many. Oftentimes I experienced such anxiety prior to attending gatherings now. are a rare, and I imagine you're going to have to continue that. But I absolutely get what you're saying, Dr. Pat. They are rare, and you know, when you have family around you and you can access your family, I think you need to do so as much as you can and appreciate those times, because you never know when those times are going to come to an end. Tisha says, Toya, I worked at FEC during my summers. Okay. Toya, going to Harold Penner's for Easter shopping at the Landing. Oh, you didn't hit another one. Going to Harold Penner's. Now, Vonda, you will remember this. At Indian Springs, it was originally J.P. Todd's. J.P. Todd's was the men's clothing store at Indian Springs before Harold Penner's. As a matter of fact, some of the workers from J.P. Todd eventually moved over into Harold Penner's and began to work for Harold Penner's. They started their career at J.P. Todd and then moved over to Harold Penner's. Angie, I remember his baby blue truck. I was going to mention that. I just got to going on about the green truck, but the baby blue truck, I can tell you exactly what that was. It was a 1972 Chevy pickup. Yeah. And Angie says, because he let me drive it first. Yeah, because you were spoiled. You was his girl. You was daddy's girl. Okay. Gatherings are rare occasions now. I concur. I agree with that. Good old Harold Penner's. Absolutely. Listen, Uncle Harold kept a lot of us very dressed up. Now, I've got to admit that as I matured, my taste for quality matured as well. Yeah. Harold Penner's back in the day, they could keep you looking good for a couple of weeks, but after that third or fourth time of sending that joker to the cleaners, you didn't know what you was going to get, to be honest with you. And so as I matured, I kind of leveled up with regards to my taste in quality. That became important. Joyce, going to the Golden Buffet in North Kansas City and getting a ring at the end from that big chest. Yes. Woo, Lord. Man, listen, the Golden Buffet was my very first buffet experience. And I can remember the first time going there, I felt like I was in food heaven. Anybody else feel like that? Yeah. T said, yep, we'd eat and go back to afternoon service, fat and full and trying to stay awake while the preacher was preaching. I remember when our neighbors would come over and borrow a cup of sugar. No questions asked. Didn't expect nothing in return. Well, the problem nowadays is most of us don't even know our neighbors. But that was a real situation there. Cup of sugar, cup of flour, and even a cup of milk if necessary, until I'm able to get to the store. Mama would send us on errands, or someone would come to our house. Hey, our mom said, can you loan her a cup of sugar? No problem. They looked out for each other. The entire neighborhood, we kind of looked out for each other. We were a real community. We had a common unity within the neighborhood. And even if we got into a few spats and fights among ourselves, once we left the neighborhood, no one who was not from our neighborhood could mess with any of us without having to deal with all of us. You know, just from the fact that we're from the same hood on the same block, we're not going to let anybody else mess with you. Pam, just like my kids. All right. Not the meat and cheese. Yes, the meat and cheese. You going back to the taco thing. I know. Yeah, the meat and cheese. I told you I'm quite far behind you all with the comments, but y'all can keep them rolling. Anthony, going to Ponderosa for their wings. I used to go to Ponderosa, but I don't even remember what I used to eat at the Ponderosa. Yeah, that man. That's a nostalgic thought and moment there. Brittany, I never saw it, but she was so amazed. I think it was a liability, so they stopped it real quick with regards to the skating thing at Hypermart. I'm having to guess what you all referring to because I'm so far behind. Bishop, my grandson eats tacos the very same way. He's an awesome person. Awesome person. Meat and cheese only. I'm telling you, God has a special calling on that young man's life. Well, isn't it ridiculous how we can take anything, twist it, and make it as spiritual as we possibly can? Yeah, he's got a calling. He's got an anointing upon his life. Anybody that only wants meat and cheese in their taco, no, y'all better not take me seriously right there. I'm having fun. Tara Kazan, Juneteenth celebrations were always a big event. I guess you were saying in Tulsa or in Oklahoma were always a big event. I remember effervescent Natalie Cole came. The concerts were always free. Yeah, that was during the time when people really sang. They could sing for real. Rhythm Lane skating rink on 27th and Truce. Okay. Rest in peace, Atlas and Gertrude Lee. Okay. I don't know about that one. We could not cook or wash clothes on a Sunday. Yep. Strict. I'm catching up with y'all. I'm going to be there in a minute. I remember when movie theaters opened on Sundays. My grandma was like, oh, no. Y'all remember the Blue Law? No liquor sold on Sundays. Most stores were closed on Sundays. Because everybody was going to church then. Being able to walk to the corner store with my cousins, even late at night, for cheap candy and hot pickles and Vest Pop. Oh, me and First Lady, we were having a conversation about that Vest Pop just the other day. That Vest Pop was really, 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 really good. Angie, OMG, Velvet Freeze had the best ice cream, and the best soft serve came from the musical cream truck. Mr. Softy, that's who she's talking about. That Griff's in Kansas had the best burgers. 7th Street. I'll say amen to that rather. Lord, I must be hungry. You making me hungry, sis. But all of those things that you just mentioned. Listen, Mr. Softy, he used to come through the neighborhood. He was like a Dairy Queen on wheels for those that never experienced ice cream from Mr. Softy. And a few years ago, the last time we were in New York, First Lady and I, we were walking through Times Square, and what did I come up on? A Mr. Softy ice cream truck. And I was like, oh my goodness, Mr. Softy. And I was so amazed because I thought they were done. I thought they were through. I thought they didn't exist anymore. And quite naturally, I had to get me at least a cone of ice cream from the Mr. Softy truck. Tisha, when I got my first job, Milgram's IGA on Brookside, now Price Choppers, and they wanted me to work on Sundays. My grandma told my manager that wasn't happening. That's a real church grandma. That's a real church grandma. Angela Proctor, you must be talking about Watermelon Hill Shelter House 5. You're exactly right. That's exactly right. Dr. Pat says, eating at Red Lobster every Sunday after church was a tradition for our family. Wow. Are y'all the reason why they feel like they got to go out of business and file bankrupt? Did y'all eat them out? No, just kidding. I'm kidding. But that, yeah. There was a lot of people that ate at Red Lobster. I frequented the place at one time. But here's the crazy part. I wasn't going there for the seafood. I was going there to eat the chicken tenders. Isn't that terrible? Okay, no, don't y'all hate. Don't y'all judge me. Player hater, laugh out loud. Going to go buffet and getting a gold ring after you finish eating. Yeah. I've never caught a fish in all my time fishing. Thank you, brother. He said I caught a snake once. Not what I wanted. No, throw it back. I'd have thrown the whole reel and everything back if I pulled up a snake. Vonda, Shoney's late night after watch night service. Yep. Used to pack the house. T-shirt, riding my bike up and down the block. Couldn't go anywhere else. Yep, that was the rules in the Cobbins household as well. Can you imagine riding a 10-speed on the sidewalk? Oh my God, that's ridiculous. When Chuck E. Cheese was showbiz. Okay. Wow. Yeah. uh my daddy dragging me to go fishing with him at 5 a.m. Poor thing. Riding over to 38th Street, actually where the church was. Okay, Janice. It was called Tutti Frutti Hill. That's right. Rolling down that hill at top speed. That was the ultimate thrill. I know what you're talking about. Anybody who's been to Canaan's Chestnut location, there is a hill that comes straight down 38th Street coming off of Prospect, and that is a steep hill, and you can get a lot of momentum coming off that hill. Only thing that I would say is that you better hope that the cross traffic wasn't coming through at the time, because that could prove to be pretty fatal if you get out there, because the stop sign was for the people coming down the hill. And the cross street had no stop sign. So if you're coming off that hill pretty fast, you better have a spotter at the bottom of that hill to tell you if there was cross traffic approaching that intersection. Showbiz Pizza, I had a plethora of birthday parties there. Okay, all right. Golden Buffet was the spot. I remember Shoney's. I was thinking the same thing. Fisher of Men. Yep. I like fishing. You have to have patience. I'm kind of just strolling through these instead of throwing them all up. I love the metaphor, fishers of men. That's what I do. Lady Ann says, love Taco Villa. Tisha said her daddy loves Swap and Shop on 63rd Street. You can get some good deals there. What about the Fun Factory? Hey, that's another memory. That was at Indian Springs. Am I right, Kendra? The Fun Factory was at Indian Springs. Brittany, drive-ins. I was born in the wrong generation. Y'all had a time. That's what we're trying to share with you right there, Brittany. We had a time. We had some fond memories. Velvet Freeze. Joyce, black walnut ice cream. Now, I wasn't much of a black walnut ice cream, but black walnut was very popular. As a matter of fact, it was our dad's favorite ice cream. Jackie, you said that 12th and Quindaro was your neck of the woods. I spent a lot of time on 12th and Quindaro with my cousins. Toya, 12th and Quindaro, spent a lot of summers at Grandma's house over there. When Sonic first opened, they rode on skates. Yeah, they did. Absolutely. And I definitely experienced that. Coach Light, 435 westbound, and Rhythm Lane, 27th and Truce. That's right. My former church was on 12th and Armstrong. I spent a lot of time in the dot growing up, but couldn't wait till you got out of there, huh? Okay, to get back to Missouri. Yep. For some reason or other, Kansas people were afraid of Missouri. They thought Missouri was too dangerous. We lived at Brahms for their ice cream. That's a Southern thing for sure. Lookout Point. Oh, Joyce, you really hit one here. Smacks on 31st Street. Y'all remember Smacks? Yeah, I ate a lot of Smacks. There was a Smacks in Indian Springs. I'm way far behind on y'all. Y'all see all these comments that you all made about the different places. Lenny says, I grew up in Chicago. I remember going downtown to Sears Roebuck and Goldblatt's, walking through the stores, smelling the warm corn candy and peanuts. Yeah, our main Sears Roebuck was on Truman Road in Cleveland and Truman Road. That's where the main one was. Yeah. Bishop, I need to expand your palate. Ain't gonna happen. I'm too old to expand right now. You can't buy liquor in Tulsa on Sundays. Even now, I imagine that's what you're saying, Tara. You can't buy it even now. Newman Burgers, Woolworth on Truce. What about Woolworth downtown? Kickball, Tetherball. I did the throw the whole rod back. Player hater, you did that one, huh? You caught that snake and threw the whole thing in the lake. Okay, I ain't mad at you. Ventures on Bannister, right there where Home Depot is right now. Red Lobster was fancy back in the day. Remember when we had to be in or at the house when the street light came on? Oh yeah, that was a rule for most households. Montgomery Ward, Sears, Ventures with the popcorn. If not in the house, at least on the porch. That's right. That's how things went. Boy, y'all rolling them in so fast, I can't keep up anymore. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw this up here. First lady, she said, "Hot days, my brother turned on the fire hydrant till the fireman came and turned it off. Brother would turn it right back up." Woo, yes. Yes. Watch this. We did the same thing with the fire hydrant thing. Boy, y'all got me going longer than I intended to tonight. I was gonna get off here and be done by now. Janice, would you happen to be talking about Arthur Treacher's fish and chips? Let me know if that's what you're talking about. Arthur Treacher's fish and chips. And actually, there used to be one there on 39th and Prospect. You know, they had the KFC. And then right next to Mount Vernon, for a while there was Arthur Treacher's fish and chips. I remember that quite well. Thank you so much for responding. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna get ready to close this out by doing this, and let me know if you remember these, because these things right here, these really bring back fond memories of sweet times and sweet days. Watch this. Here we go. How many of y'all remember these? Love these things. Absolutely love these things. Here's what's funny. Initially, when I first discovered or was introduced to Boston baked beans, at first I wouldn't even try to eat them because I didn't like beans. And I'm telling you, y'all, this is the honest goodness truth. These beans became the only beans that I really would eat until I got to be an adult. These beans right here. Y'all remember these? Woo! I still eat these Boston baked beans. Boy. Let me show you the companion to the Boston baked bean back in the day. What about these? This got to be somebody's favorite because I used to see these. We used to pass these around in church as well. Boston baked beans and lemon heads. We used to pass them around in church. But the challenge was trying to get a handful without the box making too much noise in church, because if that mean Ursha caught you eating that candy in church, they were going to take it from you. Okay. Here we go. What about these? Mike and I. Now, this is one of First Lady's favorites. She really likes these. Now, the reason why this is kind of not showing up like it should, it's got a little transparency here, is because oftentimes I operate with a green screen and the box is green. So since I normally operate with a green screen, the box looks transparent. But y'all get the yeah. Some of you hot tamales, yeah, or red hots. How about that? Okay, all right. Here's another favorite for some of us. How about these? Yeah. I can really get First Lady with these. She love her some Twizzlers. Toya, sugar babies, yeah. Janice said you couldn't stand the Twizzlers. Is that what you couldn't stand? Which one you couldn't stand, Janice? I'm interested to know, because y'all, it kind of flies past me. Terry Kazan says, Carmen has some Mike and Ike's right now. Yeah, that was good stuff. Okay. Now to get to the more ritzy, high class stuff. Bam, boy! When I had me some peanut M&Ms, wow, man! I thought I hit pay dirt, and jackpot. I mean, these things, these candies and things, when I'm eating these things or when I come across them, they bring back so many memories, good memories, just start to flood my mind. You know, man, amazing. Some of y'all saying, yeah, y'all got some of this stuff now. Here's another one that I just absolutely love, and would at one time I would eat one every day. Snickers bar. This one, wow. Jackie says I'm still a junk food junkie. Tracy said now everybody's gonna have a sweet tooth. Ted Kazam says Twizzlers were my all-time travel snacks with sunflower seeds. Yes. You just got to make sure that you got a good cup for them shells, because if you ride in my car, I don't want to see those sunflower seeds. Although I love sunflower seeds. Peanut almond M&Ms. Oh yeah, those are absolutely amazing as well. Man, y'all coming up with some stuff. And then last but not least, this is the last one I'm gonna put up here for tonight. How about this? Bam! Payday. Love me some payday. Because I love peanuts, but I love me some payday, you know. And nowadays, every now and then, I find them king size paydays, the ones that cost you about $3-4 nowadays. I love, absolutely love me some paydays. You know, it's the simple things of life that can cause you to appreciate life once again. Man, I miss all of these things that we just talked about. Those were the days. Brittany, I'm sorry that you didn't get a chance to experience a lot of what we talked about tonight, but I'm quite sure that I'm hoping that you are developing some lifelong memories and cherishing some lifelong moments that one day you'll be able to share with a younger generation as well. If I could bring back anything, I would bring back the simpler days. The simpler days. I really miss the simpler days. We were just so happy and so carefree. It seemed like we didn't have all these troubles and problems. Now, don't get me wrong. We did have our share of whatever issues. Oh, Janice, I got to throw this up. Both of you, Anthony and Janice. Now laters, I was trying to find some now laters, but I couldn't find in the store where I was. Now laters and hot pickles. Hot pickles and watermelon Jolly Ranchers. Yes. Now it sounds crazy, but you bite the end off that pickle and then stick that Jolly Rancher down in the center of that pickle, and you'll eventually get to it at some time or another. Wow, man, I kind of forgot about the hot pickle craze. Man, oh man, what how wonderful those times were, you know. And hopefully, yeah, Kendra, you that was another one too. Hot pickles and peppermint. Lucy says we had fun, didn't have to worry about all the stuff the young people deal with now. That's absolutely right. Why? Because we were children when we were children. We were teenagers when we were teenagers. And when we finally came into adulthood, some of us were wise enough and mature enough to embrace adulthood. Although there are some adults who still are trying to be, um, they're still trying to be children. But at some point, we all have to grow up. But that doesn't mean that we can't continue to savor those sweet and savory moments that we experienced during our younger years and in times past. And whenever you can get the opportunity to somewhat relive those kind of moments, um, I would say take the opportunity to do so. You know, I mentioned early on about being able to get in the car and ride down the street with your windows down, all your windows um, down. We used to have a joke where we talked about, yeah, my car has the 470 air conditioning system, and folks would say 470. Yeah, you roll down all four windows and drive 70 miles an hour. Woo! Um, I feel you, Janice. She said, wonderful times. I shed a tear for this new generation because they cannot imagine the happiness we had as children growing up. It's very well said. I agree 100%. Those were the best of times. And you know, think about this. And I'm going to be closing this out in about 4 or 5 minutes. But think about this. Back then, we weren't worried about all of these ridiculous politics and um, the fiascos that was going on within the political arena back then. We were too busy being children to be concerned with all that nonsense. And once again, I think it's sad some of what's going on right now. Let me say this just as a serious moment. Um, I know many of you have been watching the news, or if you haven't, you've at least heard about um, the trial concerning Donald Trump and him being found guilty on all 34 counts. I'm not necessarily celebrating that, but I am very disappointed with how these political parties are so divided, how our nation is so divided, but then how people who are supposed to be well educated, intelligent, reasonable people can't really just call things for what they are. The double standard that exists in our society today is just utterly ridiculous. You know, um, if a person from a certain ethnicity, if they had gone through the same process and had been found guilty of all the counts that were brought up against them, I doubt seriously if anybody that's in the public eye and who has political and public influence, I doubt if any of them would have come forth and said, well, this whole thing was a sham. The political system is a sham. And you know, again, regardless of anybody's political persuasions, uh, at some point we got to stop this thing wherein sometimes the political process or the legislative process, it does what it's designed to do, but then on the other hand, depending on who it is, the system is broke, it's not right. And we've got our legislators who are making these statements. I would rather see our legislators, those who are in public office, I would rather them just remain silent and keep their thoughts to themselves on both sides of the aisle. You know, let the situation play all the way out. I know people have the right to have their opinion, but opinions of certain people do influence others. And that's what the whole game is right now. They're trying to play this game of garnering the greatest degree of influence over our uh, voting public. And that's what the sham is. That's what the shame is. If he had been found not guilty, I think the people that wanted him to be found guilty, uh, I think the same thing should have applied to them. Just, hey, listen, it is what it is. Went through the process, the legal process. It came out the way it did. 12 jurors decided that the person was guilty of the crimes that they were accused of, and we need to let that be that. These games that are played nowadays, they are exhausting. And so, if anything, we all ought to be left with the questions in our minds now. What can we trust? Who can we trust? Now, if you ask me, the only concrete answer to those questions is God. We can only trust God. I guess I started off serious. We had a little fun, and I'm ending up serious. But again, that's the only person we can trust. That's all we can do. All right. Let me encourage you not to get caught up in the nonsense, in the whirlwind of the nonsense. Remain who you are. Remain true to your faith. Hold fast to your convictions. And again, if you think you're going to run the risk of offending anyone and sullying up a wonderful relationship, I would advise you to just keep your thoughts, your convictions, and those kind of things to yourself as it pertains to political debates. I would rather not have political debates. I'd rather remember the good times. If I'm gonna get into a twizzle, let it be there. I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna end it right there. That's a good note to end it on. All right, y'all. We've had a lot of fun here tonight, and I appreciate y'all immensely. Thank you, all of you who've been going through this 30-day journey with me. This 30-day challenge. We got 2 more nights of this challenge to go. And for those of you that may have missed it, last night I shared with you all that even though we won't be coming on every night, we have set a schedule by which we are going to start coming on regularly. And that schedule is going to be Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And I said it that way because we have Bible study on Tuesday nights. And then a lot of you, including myself, have date night on Friday night. And we want to honor those 2 nights in particular. And of course, I'm going to take off on the weekend. I got enough to do on the weekend as is. So we'll still be coming on a regular. Now, give me a little grace, y'all. Give me a little grace. While I just said that, let me put this out here and put you on notice. I'm going to take next week off. I need next week off. I need a little break to recuperate because doing this every night, it's not as easy as some of you may think it is, or it may appear to be. So give me a little grace. So when I don't come on any next week, I'm taking a break. I'm recuperating. If y'all want me to, I can have some replays scheduled for you all to enjoy. We can do that. But I'm going to take a break from going live next week. But the week after, you can look for me to get on the schedule that I just shared with you just a few seconds ago. Well, as I often say, when it's time to sign off, and I'm going to again borrow one of Lady Ann's phrases, I'm going to tell you, God bless and have a good night on purpose. See you on tomorrow night.